Good afternoon, everyone. The hour being 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday, May 30th, 2023, I will now call the Public Works and Service Committee meeting to order. Mr. Molitor, would you call the roll, please?
Alder Jones.
Present.
Alder Jarrett. Present. Alder Davis.
Present.
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 Thank you. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes for May 9th, 2023. A motion is in order. It's been motioned by Alder Kelly, second by Alder Jarrett, to approve the minutes for May 9th, 2023. Are there any questions, corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Oppose? The motion passes. Our first item is 0533-23, communication sponsored by Alder Pete on behalf of Thomas Haskell from Prescott Lutheran Church, requesting to close Jerome Boulevard between Coolidge Avenue and Case Avenue for the 19th Annual Neighborhood Block Party on July 29, 2023 from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Staff recommendations that permission be granted and the permission be granted for the block party per the attached stipulation. Physical notes, there will be nominal costs to various city departments on a regular shift basis to assist in implementing this event. Mr. Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a request from Pentecost Lutheran Church. They are requesting a street closure for their 19th annual neighborhood block party, which is being provided at no charge to their members. The neighborhood are the residents of the Racine, Wisconsin community. They're requesting Jerome Boulevard between Coolidge and Case Avenues to be closed from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Saturday, July 29th, 2023. They do note that the church owns both sides of the property of the street for the entire block for which they are requesting the closure. This is from Thomas Haskell. Insofar as stipulations are concerned for the event, a hold harmless agreement shall be executed and a $75 processing fee be paid. Liability insurance certificate to be filed prior to the event. Any overtime costs incurred by any city department be charged to the sponsor. Sponsor shall notify any abutting property owner 72 hours in advance of this event. Sponsor shall pay a $300 special event fee. Sponsor is responsible for cleaning the streets, and the sponsor shall install parking meter hoods if necessary, but not in this area, or temporary parking signs at least 24 hours in advance of the event. And if this is not done, sponsor is responsible for vehicle towing and parking violation expenses of the violators. Madam Chair, the Public Works and Department has no objections to this event. I believe we've approved it in the past.
Thank you, Commissioner Rooney. Sir, did you wish to speak on this item?
No, we're familiar with the drill. We've done it many times before. We're aware of the fees, the insurance certificates, and everything. If you guys are going to say yes and approve it, I am going to head down to Bradford High School and ref a soccer game.
Okay, but would you state your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Tom Haskell, last name Hasko, representing Pentecost Lutheran Church. My address is 4605 Ridgeway Avenue in Racine. Church address is 2213 Coolidge Avenue in Racine.
Thank you very much, sir. Do we have any questions from committee members? Seeing none, a motion is in order. It's been motioned by Alder Kelly, second by Alder Jarrett, to approve items 0533-23. Seeing no, are there any additional questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you much.
The next item on our agenda is communication sponsored by Mayor Mason on behalf of Jessa McPhail and, from Coming Together Racine requesting to close the east side of Lake Avenue between 5th Street and Kipakawi Causeway for the 4th anniversary of renaming Christopher Columbus Causeway to Kikapi, can't say that word, Causeway on October 24th, 2023. Staff recommendation that permitted be granted to Coming Together Racine to close the east side of Lake Avenue between 5th Street and Kikapi Causeway from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. on October 24, 2023 for the ceremony per attached stipulation. There will be nominal costs to various city departments on a regular shift basis to assist in implementing this event. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair, committee members. This is for partial closure for the east side of Lake Avenue, 5th Street to Kipikawa Causeway. Stipulations for this event is that a hold harmless agreement be executed and a $75 processing fee be paid. Liability insurance certificate be filed prior to the event. Any overtime costs incurred by any city department be charged to the sponsor. The sponsor shall notify abutting property owners 72 hours in advance of this event. The sponsor shall pay a $300 special event fee. Sponsors are required to submit a temporary traffic control plan to the engineering department for approval if necessary, and provide or remove any temporary detour signs. The sponsor is required to provide a detour plan, if applicable, to any state connecting highways, arterials, or collector streets to the city engineer for approval. Sponsor is responsible for cleaning the streets, and the sponsor shall install parking meter hoods or temporary parking signs at least 24 hours in advance of the event. And if this is not done, the sponsor is responsible for vehicle towing and parking violation expenses of the violators. Madam Chair, DPW has no objection to this request.
Thank you, Commissioner Rooney. I see Mr. Shields here to speak on this item.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Please state your name and
Michael
address
D.
for the record,
Shields,
please.
1850 13th Street. And to Madam Chair and all the other committee, we welcome that opportunity to close the street. We are totally not sure, based upon the cost. We're a nonprofit organization, don't have a lot of money, so we might just cancel that, but if we do go forward, we'd like the order to be in place.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members?
I have a question, Mr. Rooney. Unfortunately, they moved the sign to the north side of the street, which was more attracted on the south side of the street. And is there any way we can move it back from the north back to the south side where it permanently went? Just put a special pole up, put the sign back up on that side? And is that possible?
Is that for the actual sign for the roadway, the street name sign?
Yes, it was on the south side of the street. They moved it to the north side of the street, but it was more attracted on the south side.
Yeah, we can make a note of that. Era, you can get a hold of the sign shop, and we can.
Signal.
Yeah, then if we have to, it can be mounted on a standard post or whatever.
okay,
But typically, they take the easy way out and hook it to an existing light pole or traffic signal standard. But if it's better placed and it serves people better, being on that corner, it can be moved there.
Yeah, because our ceremony has been on that corner where all the dog poop normally is. We clean that up too when we have people come over there. But it should put a sign out there, no dog poop on that side of the thing.
I don't know about the second sign, but we can definitely take care of the first
Okay,
sign.
well, we appreciate you and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shields. Any questions? Alder Jarrett.
Yes, so if we approve this today for Mr. Shields and the organization and they don't go ahead with it in October, what is the next recourse after that? Do we just go back and rescind it, or how does that work?
You're saying if we approve it and they decide not to
Yes, correct.
have it? Basically, we just cancel it.
You just cancel it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And it would cancel itself, we didn't pay no money.
Are there any further questions from committee members? Seeing none, a motion is in order. Motion by Alder Kelly, second by Alder Jarrett, to approve item 0551-23. Seeing no further questions, comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The motion passes. The next item on our agenda is 0545-23, communication sponsored by Mayor Mason, proposing that the City of Racine sponsor Racine Pride Day and Pride Month commemorations and celebration in partnership with the LGBT Center of Southeast Wisconsin. Staff recommendation that June 25th, 2023 be declared Racine Pride Day and that the City of Racine sponsor Racine Pride Day and Pride Month commemorations and celebrations in partnership with the LGBT Center Southeast Wisconsin. Mr. Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair, committee members. I did have an email earlier from one of the alders on the committee. This is before this committee because there is permission being sought to use the property around City Hall and the flagpole, which is under the purview of DPW, so therefore it would fall before this committee. DPW has no objections to the request, but I would ask that the chair maybe recognize Vicki Selko if she'd want to speak to this item. I don't know if that's necessary or not, Vicki, but you can. But we have no objection to the request.
Elko, would you like to address us, please?
Good evening. For those alders who I don't know yet or don't know well, my name is Vicki Selko. I'm the city's manager of strategic initiatives and community partnerships in Mayor Mason's office. I don't have anything specific to say on this. I'm glad to answer questions. This is simply the language that the city attorney has suggested we use for events like this to ensure that the city can partner, can invite the LGBT Center of Wisconsin to partner with us to celebrate Pride Month and to allow the city steps outside to be used for that event at the end of the month.
Thank you. Any questions? Alder Kelly?
I'll go ahead and ask my question first, and then Henry. So I do have a question for you. Is this this something that the city invited you, or did you approach the city regarding the request to fly the flag for the month?
Alder Kelly, I work for the city. I work for Mayor Mason. So this is an event that the city has done in partnership with the nonprofit organization, the LGBT Center, for the last several years, at least the last 4. And this is the second year that we are bringing this resolution forward to move forward with the event.
Okay, let me rephrase. Did the city ask the group to fly the flag, or did the group approach the city and ask them?
The group approached the city and asked us to fly the flag.
Thank you.
Alder Perez.
I have questions for the city attorney. Thank you, sir. May I address him, ma'am?
I ask you, address the city attorney.
Several years ago, the first time in 2019, when the city took down the American flag and flew the gay pride flag, I objected to that, and I went and I asked the mayor at the time, Corey Mason, and he said, oh no, I asked him, well, if you're going to fly that, I want to fly the Christian flag. And he said, oh no, there are many Christian flags, you can't do that. And then you and I had a discussion when I proposed that the American flag not be removed, and you actually wrote an ordinance about it. It came before this committee, and erroneously the chairman at the time, because it did not have a staff recommendation, pulled it off the floor at the time it was starting to be discussed. I know that according to our rules, even though something may not have a staff recommendation, it can be discussed and ruled upon. Under federal law, it appears that Let me quote this, and you tell me if you can, sir, and I know this is kind of maybe off guard here for a moment, but as I was trying to figure this out, in the resolution, one of the things in the resolution, it says that they want to fly the pride flag outside. Now, we talked about the flagpole. The flagpole only has one area for flags, not two. So we would either have to change the flagpole and fly the flag pride underneath to be consistent with state and federal law, or we would have to create another pole because it talks only about the area in front of City Hall for participation in the public. And under Wisconsin Legislature Administrative Rule 2.14 Admin 2.0711 flags, it says the United States flag and the flag of the state of Wisconsin shall be the only flags flown, hung, or displayed from any state office building or facility except as the governor may direct. I'm not aware that the governor has directed the state to remove the American flag and fly the gay pride flag for the time. In the paper on June 24, 2019, I have it here if you'd like to look at it, sir. It shows, or it says, that the American flag was removed and the gay pride flag was flown. And so in the paperwork that the mayor has submitted, where all the whereases are, at the bottom, it talks about flying the gay flag on our property. And I would say, I would venture that in a Supreme Court ruling, based on what Attorney Suffolk also said, would be inconsistent with law and policy, therefore unable to do that part of that petition. It's not that I'm against flying the gay flag, but I'm against removing the American flag. We just had a national holiday where we memorialized people who gave their lives for the United States of America. And the flag was that symbol which was represented. And so I venture to say, and I'd like to posit that it would be illegal for us to follow that part of the proclamation if we're going to follow through with what it says there. I see all the other stuff. I get that. But when we're using city property to promote a particular group of people in our community, and the fact that the Christian community would not be represented after a request was made and refused by the mayor, I'm very upset that we're now picking a particular group that we've never done this before for, except in the last 3-4 years where we've removed the American flag and put the American flag up, and saying, hey, no, you put the American flag, you don't remove that and then represent another group of people. Can I have your opinion? I know this is quick, or can you tell me what you are possibly thinking? Do we need to table this, if we can, for you to do some research? Where are we going to go from here?
Madam Chair, Alderman, there's an awful lot to unpack in what you just said. So let me just say first, what I tried to write down the code section that you're writing. As you quoted it, it said state office buildings. The city of Racine City Hall is not a state office building. 0.14. City Hall is not a state office building or facility. It's a city of Racine. I'm not aware that I don't recall seeing last year when the pride flag was flown that the American flag was not flown. I believe the American flag was on top and the pride flag. Nodding his head that that's correct, so I don't understand this request to be that the American flag would the American. That's at least.
Well, sir, in preference to that, there is no other place to file it. There are not two different hooks on the pole. I guess it could be added, but I looked earlier today. There's only enough hooks for the flag.
I don't know for sure what was done, and maybe Mr. Rooney can answer that question, but Mr. Rooney, Public Works owns if flagpole, so Elko just showed me. Oh, it. So, I'm not aware whether there was or has been a request to fly, a formal request made to the Common Council to fly any other flag at any time on. I've been told that you talked to the mayor about it. I understand that. This is kind of a different thing, and it may be that it's been formalized more recently. And I understand in the past, the mayor made the decision to fly the pride flag. But last year, and now this year, the request has come to the Common Council. And you may recall there was a similar request to this in May for the National Day of Prayer to use the front steps of City Hall, and it went through the Common Council, and it had a resolution that looked similar to this. I'm not aware that there was, I know because I wrote it. It didn't have anything to do with a flag. It had to do with using sort of the front steps and City Hall Plaza for expressive conduct or speech, which certainly occurred at the National Day of Prayer and certainly occurred on Pride Day and in the past. And I believe the intent, my understanding, is to formalize the procedure for which someone may request, and therefore the city through the Common Council invite and permit someone to express something that is considered to be a value of the city of Racine government. And the values of the city of Racine government, I'm not speaking for myself, I'm talking about what's in the ordinances about discrimination. As an example, it's illegal to discriminate based upon age, sex, race, color, veteran status, disabled veteran status, religion, disability, national origin, marital status, gender identity, sexual orientation, familial status, or economic status of any person. And my understanding when I was asked to first work on this type of resolution, it was that if someone wants to use sort of the front porch of City Hall for some sort of expressive conduct, this was a standard that could be used to determine whether or not this was an expression of City of Racine. And to me, the Supreme Court ruling, the City of Boston case, Court of the United States, issuing a number of rulings on free speech and governmental speech issues over the past few years. In this case, the Boston case actually runs of both individual free speech rights or group free speech rights and what's known as governmental speech, which is making statements of value. This case said that the city of Boston had abdicated its ability to prevent having anybody fly a particular flag on their flagpole because they let everybody do it without any action of the Common Council or the city, whatever the sorry, I'm pointing to the resolution. Part of the effort to make sure that the Common Council, who actually owns the city buildings on behalf of the city of Racine, has a say in the kind of expressive conduct that occurs. And this would allow the city council, if it chose, because it's an expression of governmental values, to decide there was some group or some person that would say something that wasn't consistent with the city of Racine governmental values and might generate. Anybody's allowed to use the front porch, then there's nothing that
So trying to understand. But so if the city itself says to this organization, use our property, do a presentation, I have no problem with that. But my problem comes in the fact that in the past or currently, we want to also invite a flag to be put up. A flag is very significant because it represents an endorsement from a government organization. Now, we were not the ones, according to Attorney Selko, we were not the ones that, or they asked us if they could fly the flag. It wasn't the other way around. And I think that would be an exception because, so I can see if, for example, military veterans want to fly the flag under our American flag. I would say, okay. And we don't have a separate area where we have freestanding flagpoles where we could put other flags at, of course, a level below the American flag, and I get that. So if I were, based on your anti-discrimination law that you read to us, not yours, the city's, I mean, so I want to come up and say, hey, you know, the 4th of July, I want to run the Christian flag up the flagpole too. Would they have to, at that point, say yes because of that rule? Or would they still have the option to say no because of that rule?
Well, isn't a question you asked me, but the Common Council could say, Council has this request declined, right? The LGBT would modify this in some way and say we're okay with this particular activity, but we're not going to other sort of. And in your question, someone were to come to the city and request through this formal process to have a presentation, provide speeches, fly a flag, and it comes to the Common Council, and the Common Council decides that that's an authorized.
But if a Christian liberal, then they could deny the Christian flag, but fly the gay flag. Would that be correct?
Common Council has the ability to decide who to invite and who to permit. I'm not saying that someone might not complain about it. I don't know, you know, and you know, perhaps somebody thinks this Christian flag is okay, but that Christian flag is not okay.
There's only one. I checked because that's what the mayor said to me.
Okay.
There were many, and I checked, and there were not many. There is only one.
I don't really have any idea. But there could be a flag of one denomination or a flag of another denomination. I don't know if that's the case. But in any event, were someone to propose it, and it go through committee with a recommendation, and go to Common Council, and the Common Council approves, then yes.
So I'd like to make a motion that we, that last whereas, where it says that the gay flag pride can be flown on the city pole. I don't know the exact words. I don't have that in front of me. But since you do have it there, can you please read it?
Sure. The last clause of the proposed resolution says, be it further resolved that the City of Racine invites the LGBT Center of Southeast Wisconsin to fly the pride flag upon the City of Racine City Hall flagpole each day for the month of June 2023.
Right now, we have a motion on the floor, I believe. Is there a second? Okay, let me get this. Alder Perez, would you state that motion again, please, for me?
I'd like to make a motion that we delete that last whereas from the proclamation. This is the first time that this has come before City Hall. The last 3 years when it's been done independently of Common Council. I'm glad to see, because I did propose also that if we were going to remove or add something to the American flag, that we should bring it before Common Council for Common Council's decision. And of course, that didn't make it beyond the floor as well. So what I'm saying here tonight, I'd just like to remove the last whereas. The rest of the language is fine.
If I may, Alderman, it's the last "be it further resolved," not the last "whereas." So it's just not one of the whereas, it's one of the resolutions. It's the last paragraph of this document. And this did go through council last year, was approved
Attorney Letney?
this way last year with the dates 2022.
Attorney Letney, would you look down for the first, second, third, fourth, the fifth whereas?
No, it's,
And where it says the plaza flagpole, would that need to be
no,
removed
that's
as
just,
well?
I'm sorry, ma'am, to interrupt you. That's just a definition of the public area. If the committee and the council were to delete the very last paragraph in this proposed resolution, that I believe would have the effect that Alderman.
But I didn't quite hear the last.
I'm sorry, I said were this committee and the common council to approve this without the last paragraph on the proposed resolution, that would have the effect that Alderman Perez is suggesting, that the event be held, but the pride flag not be flown on the flagpole.
Thank you, Attorney Letney. I have a motion and a second to delete basically the last, be it further resolved that the City of Racine invites the LBG Center of Southwestern Wisconsin to fly the pride flag upon the City of Racine City Hall flagpole each day for the month of June 2023. Any further discussions? Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Barb Farrar. I'm the Executive Director of the LGBT Center Southeast Wisconsin. My address is 2029 Kearney Avenue, Racine.
Go ahead, please.
And I apologize for being tardy to this very important meeting tonight. I've been the Executive Director since 2018, and the City of Racine and the Center have come a long way in terms of validating the LGBTQ community in our city and our county. And we have started those discussions back in 2019, and there's always been discussions around flags because it's a fun, symbol of pride. We've been trying to get flags all downtown, pride sidewalks, all kinds of cool ideas to be visually supportive of the LGBTQ community. The rally that we have is very, very unique. It is not about stages. It is not about vendors. It is about people for an hour and a half congregating on the City Hall steps so that we can tell our stories. In fact, in 2019, we had a young person come up to the mic and say, "This is the first time I've been downtown for a really long time because I thought my life was at risk when I came downtown." And for me to tell my story as a trans person at age 19, to be able to share what my experience has been in a warm and friendly place like City Hall was life-forming. I made that connection with him and ended up hiring him on my staff. I didn't know him prior to that. I think it's easy to say that I think it's easy to talk about the symbolism of the flag, and we are proud Americans. The American flag and the pride flag often are hung together, and that's a beautiful thing. So we certainly would support that. I think what a lot of people may not understand is the experience of the microaggressions, the hate. All you have to do is turn on the radio, and our lives are at risk every day. And I'm hearing from people in schools that are, anyway, I'm not going to go down that path, but I think it's really important that you recognize that this is a very critical time with all the anti-trans bills that are in our in states in the country. We could really use support this year and every year. So I do urge you to consider this unique experience for Pride that Racine, the city of Racine, has offered us for several years. And it's really important to our community.
Thank you very much. Any further questions from committee members? Seeing none. Alder Perez?
Yeah, my comments are not directed at the activities. I totally get that. I'm only directing it at the flag. That's all.
Seeing no further questions, the motion on the floor is to delete the last paragraph of this. So all those in favor of deleting that paragraph, please say aye. Oppose? Alder Jarrett, you opposed? So it is a tie, and the chair will break the tie with a no. So we will go back to the original item, 0545-23. All those in favor of the item, well, excuse me, we need a motion for that item. Motion and second to approve item 0545-23. Any questions, comments? Alder Jarrett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to speak on this really quickly. According to Attorney Letney and even Alder Perez's point, if Alder Perez has a Christian group that wants to fly their flag 4th of July under the American flag, then we can go through this process again and then bring it to the Common Council. It's 15 of us. So I don't believe that 4 of us should be making this decision. I would like it to pass so that we can bring it to the Common Council and have other alders be involved, because we all represent the city of Racine, not just 4 of us.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Oppose? The chair again will break the tie with an aye. The motion passes. Thanks, everyone. Our next item on the agenda is 0532-23, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works, submitting bid results for contract 202-3116, Kinsey Spring Street I&I reduction. Staff recommendation to receive and file. Commissioner Rooney.
Well, thank you, Madam Chairman. On Wednesday, March 24, 2023, the Department of Public Works received bids for contract 2023116, 2023 Kinsey Spring Street inflow and infiltration reduction. Project was estimated at $729,300. No bids were received. We recommend this item be received and filed and rebid at a later date.
Thank you, Commissioner Rooney. Any questions from committee members? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to receive and file this item.
5.
It's been moved by Alder Jarrett, second by Alder Davis, to receive and file item 0532-23. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? The motion passes. The next item on our agenda is 530-23, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works, submitting bid results for contract 2023130, Marquette Park Basketball Court Reconstruction. Staff recommendation is to receive and file And I believe we have our Parks Director, Mr. Molbeck, on hand to speak on this item.
Good evening. Before I get started, I'd just like to introduce Chris Bosher. Chris Bosher has been with our office for about a little over a month and a half. He's our project coordinator or manager, and I'm just bringing him here to see how the meetings actually run. So with this project, we're asking to receive and file. We had one bid that came in, and it was largely overbid from what we had originally thought it was going to be. We'd like to reject this bid, receive and file, and go back to our firm that helped us design this project and re-look to rebid it at a later date.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members? Seeing none, a motion is in order to receive and file.
Motion to receive and file.
It has been motioned to receive and file item 530-23. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? That motion passes. Our next item is 0539-23, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works, submitting bid results for contract 2023133. Colonial Lincoln Multi-Use Trail and Johnson Park Drive pavement repair. Excuse me. Staff recommendation to receive and file. Mr. Molbeck.
So as you can see by the title of the contract, there's numerous projects that were involved with this bid. And one of them, which was the Johnson Drive, came in way overbid for what we felt was right. So what we'd like to do is, with the help of DPW and their staff, is to go back and rebid just a portion of Colonial Park and Lincoln Park by the bridge and the trail. So we're asking you that we're going to reject this, and if you could receive and file, we would rebid this at a later date.
Any questions from committee members? Seeing none, a motion is in order to receive and file. It's been motioned by Alder Kelly, second by Alder Jarrett, to receive and file item 0539-23. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Our next item is 0528-23, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works, submitting bid results for contract 2023132, Colonial Park driveway and parking lot reconstruction. Staff recommendation that the contract 2023132, Colonial Park driveway and parking lot reconstruction, be awarded to DK Contractors in the amount of $282,797, they being the lowest responsive bidder. Fiscal note funding is available in Art Object 45050571110, land improvements. Mr. Molbeck.
So, yeah, as you can see, the information that we gave to you guys, we did have three contractors bid on this. One was ejected because of they didn't meet the qualifications. DK Contractors was the lowest bid, but it was definitely a higher bid than what we anticipated again. But we had talked to the finance department, and they felt that with what we had in our CIP and the need for this project to be completed, we went ahead and we're looking for you to approve this contract.
Thank you. Any questions from staff? Committee members. Seeing none, a motion is in order. Motion by Alder Kelly, second by Alder Jarrett, to approve item 0528-23. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? That motion passes. The next item is 0529-23, communication sponsored by the Chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works, submitting bid results for contract 2023131, Washington Park Bowl Pavement and Drainage Improvement. Staff recommendation that contract 2023131, Washington Park Bowl Pavement and Drainage Improvements be awarded to the Wasnesec Corporation in the amount of $63,685, they being the lowest responsive bidder. Physical note, funding is available in Ord Objects 45050-57110, Land Improvements. Mr. Moback.
So just to give an example, to give a little bit of a visual where this is at and what it's doing two folds. If you're familiar with the bowl, Washington Park Bowl, right by Park High School, it's the baseball diamond. It's kind of connected to where our tree garden is that we put in a few years back. And the hut that's there has been upgraded so it could be used by forestry on a day-to-day basis for their needs for that tree garden back there. And then the ball diamond, which is used by our JV programs, whether it's Park or other teams, the diamond does not drain properly. So this project will actually help the drainage of the ball diamond and also the drainage that comes in that causes havoc for our forestry group going into their garden. So we'd like for this project to go forward, and we're asking you for your approval tonight.
Thank you. Questions from committee members? Seeing none, a motion is in order. It has been motioned by Alder Jarrett, second. Let's give Alder Davis to approve item 0529-23. Seeing no further questions, comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Moback.
Thank you.
Our next item is 0537-23, communication sponsored by the Chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works, submitting bid results for contract 2023119, alley grading. Staff recommendation that contract 2023119, alley grading, be awarded to Lalonde Contractors, Inc. in the amount of $93,458.05, they being the lowest responsive bidder. Physical note, funding is available in Ord Objects 45040-57500 DPW Paving. Mr. Mollender.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you stated, on Wednesday, May 24th, we opened bids for the aforementioned project. This is a one-time alley grading project for non-improved alleys, either gravel or earth alleys. We received 3 bids. Obviously, the low being Lalonde Contractors at $93,458.05. We had budgeted and estimated a maximum amount of $150,000 for this project. This, because of the $150,000 threshold or maximum amount in the budget, this was not a Racine Works program. That would need to be over $200,000. If the committee agrees, we recommend that we award this contract to Lalonde Contractors based on their bid.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members? Seeing none, a motion is in order. Motion by Alder Kelly, second by Alder Jarrett, to approve item 0537-23. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? That motion passes. The next item is 0538-23, communication sponsored by the Chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works, submitting bid results for contract 2023044 Mount Pleasant Street resurfacing. Staff recommendation that the contract be awarded to A.W. Oaks and Son, Inc. in the amount of $473,486, they being the lowest responsive bidder. Physical note, funding is available in the following objects: LRIP funding, concrete curb and gutter accessible, DPW asphalt street paving, DPW sidewalk replacement, storm sewers miscellaneous locations, sanitary sewer various location, traffic signal replacement. Mr. Molitor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Once again, we received these bids on May 24th, last week. And we only got the one bid from A.W. Oaks for the amount of $473,486. Our estimate was approximately $430,000, so there is a short or a outfall. This project, because it's receiving LRIP funds, is not eligible for the Racine Works program. LRIPs being federal funding. If the committee agrees, we recommend that we award this project to A.W. Oaks and Sons.
Thank you. Questions? Alder Jarrett.
Hey, Mr. Molitor, a quick question on this one. Since there's only one bid on this project, are you guys comfortable with this, or you want to send it back out for a rebid?
We're comfortable. This is a rebid already, and it's kind of a odd project in the fact that we're replacing the traffic signals at the intersection of Rapids and Mount Pleasant, and then the rest of it is a resurface job. So it's and then we have a couple other little things tacked on, like we're replacing a fiber optic run down Rapids Drive. So it's kind of a mishmash of things. So we knew we were going to be testing the waters per se of several subcontractors that A.W. Oaks would have to align to complete the project as specified.
That answer your question, Alder Jarrett? Alder Perez.
Yeah, this was for Mr. Rooney. In the past, we always used to talk about responsible bidders, and now we are responsive. What's the designation? Why both responsible and responsive? How does that work?
Well, responsible and responsive bidders are generally determined, and they are deemed to be both responsive and responsible bidders when they go through the pre-qualification process. So that is a process where they have to fill out paperwork, answer questions. They submit those and get pre-qualified to bid on projects. Part of that questionnaire that is filled out by the contractor, along with supporting documents as to their fiscal authority to do this type of work, their bonding limits, how much labor that they have, how much equipment they have available to do the jobs. When we go ahead and review those, then we determine whether they are responsible and responsive. It's also required in that document that they fill out whether they've been late on projects, or they've finished them on time, or they've been assessed liquidated damages. So if they meet that criteria, we deem them qualified. As you saw in an earlier item tonight, one of the contractors who bid on a project didn't even submit pre-qualification forms, so we rejected their bids. We never opened them. We have no idea what they bid. They might have been the low bidder. They might not have been, but we didn't even entertain opening the bids because they weren't pre-qualified. Pre-qualification is done administratively by my office, and the Assistant Commissioner of Public Works oversees that program. So they are pre-qualified to bid. It did come slightly over what the estimate was. We do have funding available for the project. As Eric explained, we've rebid this project before. It's a little nuanced with requiring a lot of subcontractors. So we are asking this committee to approve this contractor as the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. And I think the city attorney would like to say something as well on that, Madam Chair, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Ma'am, thank you. So John, Mr. Rooney really explained responsible bidder very well. A responsive bidder is one that actually responds to the bid as it's submitted. So if we have a bid package that says we want you to pave 1.1 miles of road, and they come back and say we're going to pave 1 mile of road, they are not responsive to the bid. So that's why we talk about the two of them. They actually have to bid on the project as we expect them to.
Thank you, Attorney Letney. And I might add, too, responsive also might mean if they don't fill out all the documents in the bidding process either, you know, they don't put in their list of subcontractors, or they don't fill out their disclosure of ownership. They may be bidding on the project, but by not filling out all the required documents, they could be unresponsive. They could be responsible, but unresponsive. They didn't complete all the documents that all the other contractors had to fill out as well. So that's another way of looking at unresponsive.
Does that affect your answer, Alder Perez?
Yes, ma'am, I did it for the group as well, not just for me.
Thank you. Any further questions from committee members? Seeing none, a motion is in order. Motion by Alder Perez, second by Alder Davis, to approve item 0538-23. Seeing no further questions, comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Oppose? The motion passes. Thanks, everyone, and thank you, Attorney Letney and Commissioner Rooney. Our next item is 0548-23. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the city engineer, submitting change order number 1 to contract 2022041, Concrete Reconstruct 2, Milwaukee General Construction Company, Inc., contractors. Staff recommendation that change order number 1 to the contract Concrete Reconstruct 2, Milwaukee General Construction Company, Inc. contractors be approved in the deduct amount of $128,278.57. Physical note, funding for this change order is credited in the following: DPW paving, storm sewer, sanitary sewer paving. Mr. Molitor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Once again, we're submitting the rectifying change order number 1 to the above contract, contract number 2022041, contract number Milwaukee General Construction Company, Inc. In the deduct amount, $128,278.57. Basically, this was just mainly a mirage of reduced quantity. I think mainly because we didn't pave one of the intersections on 17th Street because it was just repaved, resurfaced the year before. This was roads. It was 17th Street. If the committee agrees, we recommend that we.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members? Seeing none, a motion is in order. Motion by Alder Perez, second by, is it Alder Kelly? Alder Kelly to approve item 0548-23. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Oppose? That motion passes. Next item is 0549-23. Communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works, submitting final payment for contract 2022041, Concrete Reconstruct 2, Milwaukee General Construction Company, Inc., contractors. Staff recommendation that the work completed by Milwaukee General Construction Company, Inc. be accepted and final payment authorized for a total contract amount of $710,624.15. Final payment to include retainage. Fiscal note, contract 2022041 was authorized under resolution number 0238-22 on April 18, 2022. Mr. Mollinger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As stated, work on the contract 2022-041 concrete reconstruct number 2 has been completed, and the contractor, Milwaukee General Construction Company, Inc., is requesting final payment. The final contract amount for all the work completed is $710,624.15. This is a Racine Works program, and they have completed their requirements required by that program. The project was authorized under Resolution 0238-22 of April 18th of 2022 in the amount of $838,902.72, with the previous approved change order of $128,278.57 reduction. Project came in at $710,624.15. If committee agrees, we recommend final payment.
Thank you. Questions from committee members? Being none, a motion is in order.
Motion to approve.
It's been motioned by Alder Perez, second by Alder Davis, to approve item 0549-23. Seeing no further questions, comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Our next item is 0561-23, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Commissioner of Public Works submitting a revised policy outlining installation of banners on city-owned street light poles. Staff recommendation that the policy be approved. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Committee members, what you have before you is a policy on installation of banners on city-owned streetlight poles. I hope you had an opportunity to review it before tonight's meeting. You may be wondering why this is before you tonight when you see banners all over poles throughout the city of Racine. We actually, through DPW about 20 years ago, approved a policy on placing banners on city streetlight poles, and then it was revised about 10 years later for another reason. Both of those went through Public Works and Services Committee and Common Council. We had a request to install a banner, and the city attorney's office wanted to review the existing policy that we had in place for some time. I think the policy was a little out of date as it relates to perhaps some free speech items and other things. The meat and potatoes of the policy as it relates to the responsibility of the parties that want to hang banners is still there, and it has the best interests of Public Works in mind, is how they functionally place banners, what they're responsible for. We have deposit costs associated with that in case, you know, they don't take them down and we have to take them down, we recover our costs. We also used to take some of these banners through the committee when they'd want to see what the content looks like. I think the city attorney's also has revised that accordingly, makes this more of an administrative approval, if you will, and if for some reason Public Works Administration feels that the request should be denied, there would be an appeal process that could come back to this committee to be considered. That being said, I think it would maybe best if there are questions regarding the revised policy, they could be directed to the city attorney, but I'm also here to take any questions that you have.
Thank you, Mr. Rooney. Questions? Alder Perez.
So is this a result of the request from the Douglas Avenue bid people, the Douglas Avenue people?
Yes and no. So what happened was the Douglas Avenue bid, they submitted a request to place banners on their corridor on Douglas Avenue. We in turn, per the old policy, the former policy, put the item in the queue to come to Public Works and Services to have it replaced. It was at that time that it was placed there through our senior leadership meetings and discussions that the city attorney said, I think we need to revisit the content of the policy as it relates to certain items, which I'm going to let the city attorney explain. And so we basically tabled the item for Douglas Avenue Business District while this policy was being reviewed by the city attorney's office. With that, I think I'll turn it over to City Attorney Scott Latney if you would like.
Thank you, ma'am.
You may proceed.
Yes, so we did, when we saw the Douglas Avenue request was on the agenda, we looked at the banner policy that was also on the agenda. I have no comments on the Douglas Avenue bid request. I have no issues with that. The policy was concerning because, as our earlier discussion, the Supreme Court has, over the past years, limited the scope of what municipal governments and governments in general can regulate in terms of content of speech. And it's an incredibly complicated area. I'm sure you all would understand it, but it would take me a really long time to explain the whole thing. So I'll try to be as brief as I can. There is a distinction between governmental speech and individual or group free speech. Distinction between areas that the government controls and areas that are generally considered to be public forums. So places like parks and public squares and sidewalks and things like that generally have been considered to be public forums available for free speech for anybody that wanted to express whatever that might be. The street lights, the poles on which these banners are going to be placed, although the city owns them, I don't know if the city owns all of them, it's in a street, it's on a sidewalk. And generally speaking, what the courts have said about the regulation of speech is that governments can impose what are called time, place, and manner restrictions. So if there was a flashing billboard, they might say you can't have a flashing billboard that's flashing after dark in a residential neighborhood, or that flags on poles can only be, this banner has a restriction on size and how far above the street it must be, so there's adequate clearance. Those are time, place, and manner restrictions. But government cannot control the content of the speech, cannot tell somebody there's something they may not say in an area that is a traditional public forum. So the issue we had with the policy as it existed before, it had a lot of provisions in the old policy that were specific to the things someone could say. And I'll just use one example. It said you can't say anything that would be considered offensive to someone. Now, we all get that, and that kind of makes sense, but that is content. That is telling somebody they may not say something that you may find offensive, and maybe I don't find it offensive, but who decides those things? And the courts have said as soon as a government tries to regulate content of speech, they've crossed the line. So what we did was redraft this policy to keep the procedural sorts of things that are important to the Public Works Department, size, clearance, and materials of the banner and so on, but took out the regulations as to content of speech. The other thing we did, and I just want to make clear, is this now would permit administrative approval with appeals going. I know Mr. Rooney talked about this, but appeals coming to this committee. So if they're presented to the Commissioner of Public Works, and the Commissioner of Public Works says this is not consistent with our policy, then an appeal would come to this committee as opposed to potentially all banner requests coming through the committee. I mean, it's your call what you want to do with it, but we just did that so there can be administrative. I will just note that there is a provision in here, and I don't recall, John, if it was in the old one, that if bids request banners, they aren't required to pay the fee that would be required for somebody else. kind of
Thank you, Attorney Lutney. Any questions from committee members? Alder Perez.
Your Honor, I didn't understand the last part. Do the bids have to pay or not?
no.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions from committee members? Thank you, Attorney Lutney. If there are no further questions, a motion is in order.
Approve.
A motion by Alder Perez, second by Alder Kelly. Alder Kelly to approve item 0561-23. Seeing no further discussion, questions, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Oppose? Motion passes. Our final, excuse me, just one moment. Thank you. Our final item is 0544-23, communication sponsored by the chair on behalf of the Department of Public Works, submitting final resolution for the following alley assessment. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is going to be very similar to what we did a few weeks ago after the public hearing on street improvements. This is obviously for the public hearing that we held on alley improvements. I'll go through each alley one by one. There's no need to vote on an alternate type of pavement. Either these get rebuilt with Portland cement concrete or they get deleted. We don't do anything else because of the way alleys need to be reconstructed with the loads that they take. So there's only an option really to approve or to not approve. Again, I'll go through, and I think we sent this little packet out to you at the end of last week, so you had a chance to digest it and look at it if you hadn't had a chance to drive out and look at these alley yourselves. But you'll be able to see a photograph or represents what the alley looks like. We'll let you know how many properties are along the project, how much frontage is in favor or against. So we get those in a variety of ways via email. We get them through regular mail, petitions. I think there was a gentleman who was at the public hearing who said he didn't receive my petition for this alley. Well, we did, but we have to publish this agenda and the documents, and I think he took it and brought it in before we did that. That's why I think there was maybe perhaps a little bit of confusion as to whether we received that or not. But we did, and it's represented on the sheet, and that's what you can use in your consideration tonight, whether you'd like to approve or delete the proposed improvements. So with that being said, I will start with the first item. This alley is bounded by Charles Street and 8th Street, South Street, and Shoreland. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement. There are 19 properties along the proposed improvement. As you can see, this is the condition of this alley. It's an unimproved alley that is essentially rutted gravel. If you look at the total of the property owners that were interested in providing comment for or against, we had 10% of the frontage in favor, 5% of the frontage opposed. Also on the sheet here, this represents no city GOB costs on this particular project, so the entire cost of it would be assessed to the abutting property owners. With that, I will open it up to any questions, or the chair, if she has any questions or would like to request a motion.
Any questions from committee members? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve or delete this item. Motion by Alder Jarrett, second by Alder Kelly to approve the alley Charles Street to 8th Street and South Street to Shoreland Drive. Seeing no further questions or comments, all those in favor, please signify. Did you have a question, Alder Davis? No, just pull your mic down. And it's voice activated, yes.
Okay, just a question for clarification. You said the alley was, it's not a real alley or something?
Oh, it's an unimproved alley. I get the photo back up for you so you can see. We consider improved, it has some type of pavement on it. And this was never paved, this alley. It was probably a dirt alley a long time ago, and then maybe some stone was added to it. So it's an unimproved alley is what we refer to it
Okay,
as.
all right, thank you.
Alder Perez, I know you were, do you have any questions on the alley? There's a motion on the floor to approve the alley. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Oppose. The motion passes. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next alley is bounded by 13th and 12th Streets, Terrace and South Memorial. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement. There are 21 properties along the proposed improvement. Approximately funding for this project is $71,842.16, and the city obligation that would be just under $1,500. For the property owners abutting the proposed improvement, we had 4.25% of the frontage in favor, and we had 0 opposed.
Thank you. Any questions on that alley? 13th Street, 12th Street, Terrace Avenue to South Memorial Drive. Seeing none, a motion is in order. Motion by Alder Kelly, second by Alder Jarrett to approve the alley 13th and 12th Street and Terrence Avenue to South Memorial Drive. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? That motion passes. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next alley we have is bounded by Forest, North Memorial, and Liberty Street. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement. There are 7 properties along the proposed improvement. There is some GOB costs to the city of approximately $7,800, and assessments would run to the abutting property owners of about $24,300. There's a condition of the alley for you to look at, and then insofar as the abutting properties, we had no one speak or contact us in favor, and no one speak or contact us in opposition to the proposed improvement.
Thank you, Commissioner Rooney. Questions from committee members? I have one for Mr. Rooney or Mr. Molitor, whichever one. I see a lot of nice bricks there. Will we be trying to save some of those and store them for replacement that we have bricks on now?
Generally speaking, we can do that in the contract documents. We can inspect those, and if we deem them salvageable, we can ask that those be returned to the city. There is a cost to the contractor to do that. Generally speaking, most pavement removal, that pavement becomes property of the contractor. They crush it, they recycle it, maybe they find a way to reuse it. We can do that. A lot of times when you see the overlay of the brick pavers, sometimes the overlay itself can cause some significant disintegration of the glaze on the pavers after they've been overlaid with hot mix asphalt, because that generally runs upwards of 300 degrees, and it can cause some of those bricks to have problems after you try to salvage them. We can certainly investigate it and look at it, and if we find any that are salvageable, we can make those property of the city. We do that with other things such as castings on manholes, we have first right of refusal. We can certainly do that as well. We may not find any that are useful, and if they're not, the contractor will dispose of them.
Thank you. I would kindly ask if we try to salvage some of them, but if they're unsalvageable, then
Yes, we could
push them
consider
for
that
stones.
in the bid documents if this item is approved.
Any questions from committee members? Seeing none, a motion is in order. Motion by Alder Davis, second by Alder Kelly? Alder Jarrett, to approve the alley, 4th Street and North Memorial Drive and Liberty Street. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Oppose? The motion passes. Mr. Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next item is the alley bounded by 21st and 20th Streets and Center Street to Grand Avenue. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement. There are 27 properties along the proposed improvement. Of the cost of this project, 100% of it, just under $83,000, is what is estimated for it, would be assessed to the abutting property owners. As you can see, here's a picture of the condition of the alley. At this, as of the close of the public hearing, we had 14.29% of the frontage opposed, and we had 0% that contacted us that were in favor of the improvement.
Thank you, Commissioner Rooney. Is there a way to tell which property owners out of that percentage opposed it?
Yeah, so if you look at the item on the screen, or I believe you're looking at it, you'll see the...
I write the red over on emails.
Yes.
Okay.
So we highlight in red whether they're, if they're opposed, we highlight in green if they're in favor, and then the feedback column we generally put in there whether we received an email, snail mail, if they called and stated their opposition, if it came through as a petition, and then that's how we'll tally up the frontage, and that's how we have the percentage either in favor or percent opposed. So in this case, there were 4 properties. Collectively, they amounted to 14.29% opposed. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from committee members? Alder Davis.
When does this come back around again if it's not approved? I remember that we got this question.
So when it comes to public hearings for street improvements, we as staff, as the Department of Public Works, if the Common Council deletes an improvement, we as staff, these are for streets, can't bring it back for another 5 years. Now, an alder can bring back anytime they want a preliminary resolution in to have an item considered at public hearing. Alleys, on the other hand, are only brought in by requests of the alder of the district. So generally speaking, either the alder brings it or maybe one of their constituents who lives there says, I've had enough of it, please submit a preliminary resolution. It does come before this committee. This committee then votes on whether we will or will not have a public hearing on that. So staff does not bring the alleys. So we won't bring this back to this committee again as staff, and alders certainly can. You know, as time moves on with this Common Council or ones in the future, a new policy may be developed on how alleys be brought forward for public hearing. But as of now, staff is not directed to bring these in. The alders request preliminary resolutions for alley improvement.
Thank you. Commissioner Rooney, were you able to speak on if we do approve this, if the homeowners can contact the city for one of the loans to extend it on their property tax for the alley? I know they're able to do it for streets.
Yeah, what I have just learned, actually, Ron is in Finance Committee right now. I believe that low-interest program is no longer available, if that's what you're inquiring about. Anybody that has say a project, this one or a street gets approved by the Common Council, any property owner is not required to pay the assessment in full. They can pay it over 10 years. That is always available at their disposal. So I'm going to make it up an easy number. Say it's $5,000 for the improvement. Then they would be required to pay $500 a year for the next 10 years. They can always pay it off sooner, but there is a nominal interest rate that is applied because they're essentially managing individual loans, if you will, for people. Public Works and Services Committee, we do not set that rate of interest. That is something that's done through the Finance Department, I assume, and approved by Finance and Personnel. But there are no low interest programs anymore. We learned that just recently through Finance, that they can always have these costs distributed over 10 years and paid off earlier with no penalty if they desire to.
Loans aren't available, but they can let it go on their property taxes. That's still available.
That would be correct, over 10 years. At a nominal interest rate, I believe it is 6% currently set by Finance. I could be mistaken, but that would be a question perhaps for Kathleen Fisher.
I thought that may help alders in making a decision, because if we're asking them to pay $14,000, they may not have $14,000 right then to pay. So it could be spread out over 10 years, and it just goes on your property tax. Any further questions? Alder Jarrett.
Commissioner Rooney, has this alleyway been brought before the committee before? This particular alleyway? They all have.
All of these alleys?
All of them have been brought up before.
Thank you. The city engineer just said yes, all of these alleys have actually been to committee at one time before. Thanks, Sarah.
I believe this one probably hasn't been brought in the last 5 years.
I don't have the years, but I know all of them were brought before the committee as a cesspool.
Any further questions from committee members? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? Motion by Alder Jarrett, second by Alder Davis, to approve the alley 21st Street to 20th Street and Center Street to Grand Avenue. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next alley is bounded by Shoreland, North Street, LaSalle, and First Avenue. This is the condition of the alley. Again, this is another unimproved alley. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement. There are 24 properties along the proposed improvement. The cost of this alley is estimated at just over $89,000, all of which would be assessed to the abutting property owners. Insofar as those opposed and those in favor, we have 21.13% in favor of this alley being improved, and we have 47.61% of the frontage opposed.
Thank you, Commissioner Rooney. Just have one question. Do you have the PSI for the alley? I know we have them available, but can we tell what this is at?
Yeah, we use Payzer ratings to evaluate alleys. And since this is a gravel alley, there is no pavement to rate, so this would just be a zero or failed alley. You can see from the picture, obviously, I think this is the alley that the gentleman came in and said that he had a petition, which he was correct. We just didn't have it as part of the packet by the time it was published and sent out. And he had indicated that we haven't done any, we don't do maintenance on this alley anymore, which is true. We've suffered massive personnel cuts in DPW over the last 15 years, and one of the things that we got away from and we gave up as a service, because it requires labor to provide service, was the alley maintenance. And I know that there, at that point in time, about 15 years ago when that happened, then Alder DeHaan brought a lot of alleys forward during about a 3-year period. He introduced almost every unimproved alley or alley in poor shape to be considered for paving, and quite a few were approved and some were not. This one obviously back then wasn't approved, but you can see the condition that is deteriorated into, and it is before you tonight for your consideration.
Commissioner Rooney, any questions from staff, committee members? Alder Jarrett.
Commissioner Rooney, I know you took some time last week to speak to us about the alleyways, and I know you said like the gravel that you guys no longer maintain that because you don't have the equipment to. Is that gravel, or is that just like unpaved, no gravel?
That is unpaved. That is simply gravel alleys. So, DPW used to actually have a grader that they had, a road grader that would be used to try to move stone and regrade and reshape these alleys. That equipment was retired and sold years ago. The personnel that used to be made available to do this type of work seasonally, so we would take on alley grading. We'd start this time of year and grade and repair some of these alleys was done in the summertime and get them prepped, and we'd be back again the following spring, because you can see the condition that these alleys wind up in, particularly after winter, and particularly after a lot of rain as well. So, yeah, we don't even have the equipment to maintain that. If we have to, we would probably bring some stone in with a loader to try to fill in some low areas and try to make it passable. We have had alleys that have gotten such bad of condition. We have informed the Alder of the district that we are no longer going to be collecting refuse out of the alleys. We're no longer going to be picking up solid waste or recycling, and we would direct those residents to bring their refuse curbside, because the refuse trucks can't go down the alley without getting the tippers or the hydraulics ripped off the bottom of the refuse trucks there. So, yes, unfortunately, Alder, there's just not enough personnel available or budget to deal with alley maintenance, and what labor we do have available, we put on the streets and try to maintain the roadways out there for the motoring public, and then we prioritize those from highway, arterial, collector, then to your local street. So there's even a hierarchy of maintenance that we're doing on the pavements, and it's very difficult to get to all the roadways that are out there, let alone even consider alley maintenance.
Thank you, Commissioner Rooney. Any questions? Any further questions?
There's the first alley that we already voted on, and this alley kind of are linked with the alley grading project. If they are approved on this round, they will be taking off the alley grading contract, because that's a one-time deal where we're grading the unimproved alleys. Sorry, I moved away from my mic. So if this one is not approved, it will be on the alley grading contract and will be graded one time this year, and then that will be, I'm kind of trying to get where you're going with your questioning. So it will be graded this year on the alley grading contract as a one-time deal.
Commissioner Rooney.
And if I may add to that, and if it does get deleted, which is this committee and Common Council's prerogative, to the city engineer's point, we won't have personnel unless things change this budget cycle coming this fall to go back and maintain what gets regraded. That, in my opinion, may be good money being thrown after bad. But if the Common Council elects to appropriate a certain amount of funding every year in the CIP to do alley grading, you certainly can. I think those monies are best spent actually putting them into actual pavements as opposed to doing this type of maintenance, which is ongoing and never ends, and there really is no return on investment for that type of funding.
As with the grading this year, there was a special ask to put money in the budget just to regrade those alleys that are unpaved. So there's no further money in the budget for it. So if we do, just thought we'd give you both sides of the picture here.
Yeah, and we included this obviously because the alder of the district wanted this considered, and this committee and Common Council approved that preliminary resolution to have a public hearing held on it. So we had to kind of play both sides of the coin here, if you will. So.
Any further questions from the committee? Seeing none, a motion is in order at this time. Motion by Alder Kelly, second by Alder Jarrett, to approve the alley Sherland Drive and North Street and LaSalle Street and First Avenue. Seeing no further questions, comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Commissioner Rooney.
Madam Chair, the next alley for your consideration is bounded by 16th and 17th Streets, West and Dean. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement. The number of properties along the proposed improvement is 25. The estimated cost of this alley is just over $82,000, with approximately $8,500 of that being city GOB costs. At this time, as of close of the 10-day period after the public hearing, we essentially had the same amount in favor as opposed, 3.99% opposed to the improvement and 3.96 in favor of the improvement.
Thank you, Commissioner Rooney. Questions? Then a motion is in order. Motion by Alder Kelly, second by Alder Davis, to approve the alley 16th Street and 17th Street. Is that the right one? Yes. 16th Street and 17th Street and West Boulevard, Dean Boulevard. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Oh, opposed? 2, 3 in favor and 1 opposed. Thank you. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next alley up for consideration is bounded by 16th and 17th Street, Dean to Quincy. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement. There are 25 properties along the proposed improvement. The estimate of this alley is just over $82,000, and the estimated city GOB cost is just under $8,500. After the close of the 10-day period, we had 7.91% of the frontage opposed to the improvement, and no one spoke or contacted us in favor of the proposed improvement.
Thank you, Commissioner Rooney. Questions from committee members? Seeing none, a motion is in order. There's a motion by Alder Davis, second by Alder Jarrett, to approve the alley, 16th Street and 17th Street, and Dean Boulevard and Quincy Avenue. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Oppose? The motion passes. Commissioner Rooney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The last alley to be considered is bounded by 17th and 18th Streets and Park and Villa. The proposed improvement is Portland cement concrete pavement. There are 28 properties along the proposed improvement, which is estimated at just over $96,000, all of which would be assessed to the abutting property owners. At the end of the 10-day period after the public hearing, we had 7.17% of the frontage opposed to the improvement, and we had no one contact our office in favor of the proposed improvement.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members? Excuse me one moment. I will entertain a motion.
Approve.
Motion by Alder Jarrett, second by Alder Davis, to approve 17th Street and 18th Street, Alley and Park Avenue to Villa Street. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? The motion passes. This concludes
Madam-
excuse me.
Then Madam Chair, we just need to take action on 0544-23, and since none of these were deleted, the appropriate recommendation should be to approve. That doesn't need to be amended.
I will entertain a motion to approve all the alleys for paving. Motion by Alder Kelly, second by Alder Davis, to approve 0544-23 with the following alleys to be constructed in Portland cement concrete paving. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Oppose? The motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone.